And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate you joining us for the Pop Culture Cosmos. Thanks so much. It's Gerald Glassford. Truly appreciate it. The Marvels is phasing itself out of the box office as we speak. It's currently just barely in the top 10 as far as box office is concerned right now on a domestic and worldwide basis. Right now, it's going to peter out somewhere right around $200 million worldwide at the box office, which will go down most likely in the history right now of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the worst performing movie of all time for them in their history, leading back to the 2008 films of The Incredible Hulk and, of course, as well, Iron Man that started it all. Cool, bro. Glad to have you here. Truly appreciate it. It is, of course, the guy that loves the Marvel Universe like no one else. He is here to defend the Marvels and absolutely give you true knowledge on what could be a return to form in 2024. What does Disney, Marvel, and Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, need to do in order to right the ship in 2024? Because 2023 was not the banner year that Marvel was hoping for. It is, of course, as he's preparing stuff right now, it is, of course, the man of true knowledge, the man behind the MCU's bleeding edge. It is, of course, Jeff Sloboda. Jeff, great to have you here. Got some thoughts on this because the Marvels, it has been written down pretty much in box office history as the worst performing movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You saw it, you enjoyed it, and you went on your show and defended it out there to the public at large. It is going to take a big defense of that movie in the long run because there's a lot of people who do not enjoy the movie, and I'm just going to say that out loud. And I don't be, I'm glad that you enjoy. When somebody of my friends do not like a movie, I mean, do they like a movie that's not generally well received? I should say that correctly. It pleases me, or a movie that I don't like that you like. I take great pleasure in the fact when a friend of mine enjoys it, and it looks like with the Marvels, you did just that.
You know what it is that everybody in my circle, like Cyber, for instance, my co-host told me that they Cyber. When I asked Cyber, this is what he told me word for word. He was like, honestly, it surprised me, and that was all he said. He was like, and that's all I needed to know. In our language, between me and him, for knowing him from years, right? That means that it was decent because we were worried, obviously, right? Like everybody else, we were all scared going to see it, right? Everyone I saw it within my circle said it was that like I told you already, at least entertaining, right? Like basically, right? Like it was better than the first movie too. That was what I was hearing. So at that point, I went in there with more confidence and was able to, I think, enjoy it, right, for what it was. And yes, it has flaws. The movie has plenty of flaws. What movie doesn't have flaws? But and we'll flush that out across the span of the segment. But in general, to connect with what you just said, Gerald, you just mentioned, how you, in contrast, I guess, how you like seeing that I enjoyed the film, right? I found it entertaining. I did, right? It's good because it is, Gerald. It's good because I thought Captain Marvel was terrible, the first film. Like until Thor: Love and Thunder came out, I thought that was the worst. It was the worst MCU film there was. Now, you know what I'm saying? Then Thor: Love and Thunder came out, and now that's the worst MCU film ever.
Thor: Love and Thunder was a hit. Captain Marvel was a $1 billion hit, and then the Marvels comes out, and again, you have high hopes for it. You enjoyed it, and it's now the worst performing
Gerald,
movie in the
but
MCU.
but
What went
look
wrong?
look at
What
this
went
though.
wrong?
Look at this dichotomy and tell me that it makes sense for this movie to be as bad as these numbers would indicate, right? This much of a loss. The first movie made over $1 billion worldwide. The second one, right? You're saying is not even going to make $200 million worldwide box office. but it's a better film, Gerald. It's a better film. The writing is better, right? Like literally, Brie Larson's better as Captain Marvel in it. She shows more range, right? And the villain is actually better than Ronan. And it what was as an accuser in freaking the Guardians movie. I thought.
I will say differently, and the fact that the general consensus is that's a much lower rated film than the original Captain Marvel. And I will tell you that the one of the reasons why is that the villain in a general opinion, now this is from not just one but several different reviewers, you go back and they say that the villain herself was extremely underdeveloped. Now, mind you, it was the irony that it came out in the same week Loki 2 was season 2 was coming out, and the villain of the Marvels happens to be in a relationship with Tom Hiddleston in real life, and they had a
Yes.
baby, and
Yeah.
congratulations to them. But unfortunately, it did not lead to success for her character because, again, while you think the character was well developed, not a lot of other
No, no, no.
people
I didn't say it
do.
was well developed. I said that as it's
Better
service itself.
developed than
It was at
or
least as good as Ronan the Accuser in
okay,
Guardians. That's all I'm
fair
saying,
enough.
right? Like, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And people hold him up as an okay villain in that film. So all I'm saying is that she was serviceable. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
Was she developed really well developed? No, they just went
Okay.
right into her arc immediately and really gave her no arc. You know what I'm saying?
Ah, okay.
No, that didn't say
Okay.
the movie has its flaws, right? It does. But honestly, again, Gerald, considering the fact that they cut what over an hour out, right? I mean,
Well, I know that they went back to the drawing board during a point in the movie
I
while it
heard
was
they cut
being
over
made.
an hour plus of the film out completely. By the time that they were done editing and started, and then by the time they were finished, they cut out an hour plus.
Okay. Yeah, again, I know that there was considerable going back and forth on it, and that's always a sign of trouble when that happens, when they go and it's not absolutely beloved by the exec top who want changes made and things of that nature. And it sounded like there was a lot of changes that were made in that film during the process, and obviously it did not lead to results that,
Oh, that's a
even
lot
though
of
it
film.
pleased you.
Gerald, you know it's a
Yes.
lot of film to cut from a movie. That's a
Yeah,
lot. You know what I'm saying?
that
Like,
is.
so why do you think we were scared to go watch it? All of us were, right? Like on
Mhm,
the bleeding edge. And everybody I talked to in the content creation community that's a Marvel fan, we were all scared when we heard
mhm,
that. Then you heard the stuff about the director, Nikki
mhm,
DaCosta, just taken off during pre-production, right? Which now I
mhm.
don't really know how true that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
You
hear
only
things.
hear all this bad stuff happen if the movie does poorly at the box
Yeah,
office.
no, there you go. See, and here's my point, bottom line. Um, overall, I thought that in general, for me at least as an MCU fan, this brings me
Mhm,
optimism to Brie. Like this legitimized for me as a fan. I'd like to see Brie Larson stay in the MCU as Captain Marvel, right? And
mhm.
like be a part of the Avengers films and
Uh,
whatnot and everything, and have a third film.
well, I don't disagree with you there on Brie Larson. I heard Brie Larson is hated by a certain sect of the public in regards to that. And I think she was very wooden in the original Captain Marvel movie, but I have come to appreciate her more. She is an Academy Award winning actress, so it's not like she doesn't know how to act. It's just the fact that just wasn't the right fit for her at the time. But I think she's getting more comfortability with it. And I certainly don't want her to be removed as Captain Marvel simply because of the actual box office performance of this film.
No,
I just think it came out at the wrong time in a
yes,
year where the Marvel product is taking a lot of backlash. A lot of people, both in and out of the industry, are taking pot shots at the Marvel universe. Plus, superhero fatigue is a thing, Jeff.
there's a
It's a
lot of
thing.
reasons, Gerald. There's a lot of reasons. We could go on, right? You know as well as I do. There's a multitude of reasons why the film was sort of doomed to fail, right? It
Mhm,
was. You know as well as I do. Look, I figured that the movie was not even going to make $400 million. You
mhm.
could go look and see. I've guessed it on
Which
shows
is
and
very
said
hard, which is very bad for a film because it would cost almost $300 million to make.
I know that, and that's the thing. As I mentioned to you in the comment section during your live stream the other day, if you go back and actually look at the box office, right, of the first all the films that came out in phases 1 through 3, okay, and then you average them across the board. All right. If you look, of course you got your Endgame and Infinity War and your Captain Marvel, your Black Panther. You got the movies that kind of carry that the full total. But when you break it down and then look at what's come out in Phase 4 and 5, it really, honestly, the box office dip between like on average, it's not that bad. It really isn't. In contrast, if you remove Endgame, right? Say you remove Infinity War, it's not. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Those movies kind of carry the overall like box office numbers. In general, I found the film entertaining. My only defense with it would be for people out there that like maybe didn't even go watch it, right? Because of like the things you heard from other people. I'd say go watch it, right? Like then at least then like judge it, right? That's all, Gerald. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and defend it. It has lots of flaws,
Mhm.
right? Like the synergy between the three different actresses, I thought at times was not really all that great. You can tell me if you disagree or agree with me on that, but I didn't.
No, I don't. Again, as someone who has, heard nothing but bad things and bad stuff about it, it's kind of refreshing to see you enjoy it, and I'm very happy that you have enjoyed it and that you get a chance to enjoy it and that you did enjoy it because the fact is not a whole lot of people did get anything out of it because it did so poorly, especially that second week drop, which I didn't even mention to you was the worst second week drop from one week to the next of all time in MCU history and one of the worst of all time period for any big budgeted movies. So I'm happy to see that where there's so much negativity around this project
There is,
that you found some and that you enjoyed it so much.
and I have no desire to go out and make some kind of content where I'm gonna try to fight back against all these YouTubers that I paid that some of that I follow, right, that I like or whatever
Be a
whatnot
contrarian, so to
that have
speak.
been beating them up, the movie up and whatnot before it came out and tearing it apart. I have no desire to go out there and stand out and put myself out there and be the person to be like, whatever. It is what it is. We, all I can control is the people that come on my show and whatnot and everything and their opinions. We do our thing and we all go watch the films and whatnot and everything. None of us are professional film reviewers, whatever, whatnot, right? We only know as fans what we enjoy and what we don't. I get optimism out of this. I see this as a place where, based off everything that's coming out right now that we're hearing publicly from Iger and from Feige, right? In terms of with the strikes over, solidifying the release schedule back to where we have some kind of like at least consistency and reliability in terms of what's coming out when, right? Um, I think that we're heading in a direction where, especially off the Echo trailer too, Gerald, which you and I have never discussed, off the Echo
Mhm.
trailer too, which really impressed me. It really did.
The
Um,
Marvel Spotlight series, which
yes,
doesn't actually ask you to go ahead and watch any previous Marvel Cinematic Universe content.
I think if the series is anything even close to as good as that trailer, then it will be very good. That gave me Daredevil vibes, like Netflix Daredevil vibes.
So this leads me into the question before we head on out, my friend, and that is this: with Marvel's direction after the Marvels, obviously it's a unfortunately all too perfect fitting end to what has been a very dismal year
Mm,
outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for Marvel and Disney on that.
mm.
In fact, Disney's had several misfires this year at the box office and also on Disney Plus as
Oh,
far
their
as
stock is
television shows are
hurting,
concerned.
bro. It's the stock's
Yeah.
hurting.
So what can Disney and slash Marvel can do to rectify this going forward? They've actually cleared the slate off box office wise to as pretty much the surest hit that they can have with Deadpool 3, the only listed film now for 2024. You see, we noted as far as at the end of this year, what if season two is going to be shown just barely at the end of this year? And then also, as well, you've got Echo coming in January. What could lead into a much better year for Marvel outside of just Deadpool 3?
We're gonna have. It looks like we're gonna have 5 things coming out on Disney Plus next year. We're gonna have the X-Men '97 animated series,
Hmm.
right? We're gonna have Echo. right? With
Mhm.
What If, which we'll be covering all this stuff on the NC's Bleeding Edge, folks. We'll be reviewing all this stuff episodically. Regardless of how they drop it, we'll still do it weekly, right? Like we always do. But we're gonna have even though we're only gonna get Deadpool, unfortunately, which I know for the fans that really stinks. We are gonna get a lot of content on Disney Plus for even if whether it's in special presentation form or in actual Disney Plus series form. So there is going to be content there. What do they need to do to like stem the tide and fix it is very simple. The moves they're making right now vindicates the fact that I would think that a lot of the simple critiques you hear out there, the writing has to improve, right? There needs to be more oversight on the production of these series. There need to be showrunners on the projects. It can't just be Kevin Feige and his inner circle as the executive producers, and they're overseeing every single Disney Plus series there is as the final shot callers of everything, right? You understand what I'm saying, Gerald? It's not working,
Yeah.
right? With these budgets that aren't even set, and like you know what I'm saying, they just whatever, right? Like Secret Invasion, the reshoots of the what that cost them what $40 million, $250 million almost to make that garbage. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, seriously, it had some potential for 3 episodes, and then it was garbage. That's a lot of money, man. Seriously, Gerald. Uh, if I didn't review all so much all this Marvel stuff and whatnot and everything, I can see why somebody would just get rid of Disney Plus off Secret Invasion.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? So
I get what
no,
you're saying.
the writing needs to improve. There needs to be more. There needs to be more oversight of the spending of the money. They need to trim these budgets. There's no reason these shows, the 6 episode shows, should cost $250 million. Enough said. It's that simple. The films Captain Marvel, they only ended up working with an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes with the film, right? They cut an hour out. They lost
Mhm.
all this money on it. They should have only spent $150 million in the film to begin with, just on the film production itself. I'm not talking about advertising. You see what I'm saying? They need to
Yes.
start paying attention more and whatnot to like the finer details and whatnot and everything and get back to the roots of, because I'm telling you, Gerald, the next thing you're going to see happening is some of these upper crust actors and actresses and whatnot in Hollywood are not going to want to mess with Marvel anymore. In the MCU, they're going to stop coming.
Well, that's already happening. That's already happening. I mean, I believe there's been quite a few actors and notable names that have been out there in Hollywood, both from an acting and directing standpoint, who have voiced their opinions against the Marvel superhero DC universes, and then their disdain for them, and their disenchantment in them. So it's at this point you just say to yourself, okay, it's going to be for a certain crowd, and then that's it. The thing is, can Kevin Feige get it back to a point where it becomes event television or event movie once again? I think that's where the question remains. Getting into what we talked about with Deadpool 3, what we talked about also as well coming up later on with Fantastic Four, the X-Men,
Yes.
leading into Kang Dynasty, leading into Avengers 6, Secret Wars after that. Will this ever get to the point where people around the world that are not super hardcore pop culture slash superhero fans ever get back into it again?
We'll have to see. Really, we'll have to see. I hope so, Gerald. I do. I hope Echo's a start. I hope What If season
Okay.
2 is a start. I really do. Like, I'm optimistic as always. And
Mhm.
I really think that like honestly, I think it's gonna end up okay. I do. And they're gonna I think they're gonna go back to making mass audience attractive films again and whatnot and series. I think they're experimenting with Disney Plus right now, Gerald. And that's gonna lead to them figuring out a better way of handling putting out the content on Disney Plus for us in the fandom to where we're not overwhelmed, right? And they're not also like wasting all this money and just use the stuff, just use these series and these special presentations to introduce new characters and that's it, or something. You know what I'm saying? Or do like stuff like the animated stuff. That's fun. But other than that, like we don't, you get what I'm saying. Pare it
Yeah.
down, they've already talked about. Work on the quality again, because Gerald, again, just enough said off this. If the actors and actresses don't want to be with them, it doesn't even matter how good the writing is.
Once again, it is Jeff Sloboda from the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Please go ahead and check out his channel today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. But before we head on out, Cool Bro, who is a huge Star Wars fan, and I mean huge Star Wars fan, wanted me to ask you about your favorite Star Wars movie and if you are a Mandalorian.
This is the way.
Okay, there you go. There you go, indeed. But what's your favorite Star Wars movies, my friend?
Definitely Rogue One. That Rogue One is what got me. My story with Star Wars is very simple. I saw the trilogy when I was a kid. Rogue One. I didn't like the prequel trilogy movies that much. Rogue One like got me. I was like, oh man, this is good. Seeing Rogue One is the reason why we reviewed Andor. Once
Yep.
we did Andor, Gerald, it just kicked my
We
teeth
have
right in.
talked on about Andor about
It
on
destroyed
the
me.
show.
It
Yeah.
destroyed me. And at that point, once I did Andor, I'm like, you know what? At this point now, we're gonna review everything Star Wars. Anything Star Wars comes out with, we're covering it. I don't care what it is. So now we do everything, all the Mandoverse stuff and whatnot, everything. And yes, I am a Mandalorian. I'm actually a Tuscan translator, as Gerald will tell you. I go to Phoenix University online courses. I'm a Tuscan translator for the Sand People, repping the Sand People. I go to Tatooine to get hands on training. It's deep. Somebody's got to represent them, people. It's rough over there. And so yes, but no, I love being a Star Wars fan now. I'm new to the Star Wars fandom, but I'm loving it. What I'm saying. I even bought the Thrawn novels the other day. I got them in the mail.
He loves ROTS. He's really into the prequels, and I
Rogue
can't shake
One,
him out of it.
Rogue One, and Andor are my number ones right there. That and
Rogue
that
One is the only fully tolerable movie that came out in the Star Wars universe after 2010.
the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is good too.
Solo is terrible for the first 10 minutes and actually a halfway decent movie after that. But the first 10 minutes is some nauseating filmmaking. I cannot stand when they were on the Han Solo's home planet in that first 10 minutes. I thought that was absolutely cheesy and horrible, but that there you go. He says, which one do you like better, like the canon as far as ones or the Legend Thrawn ones? He's asking. So
The
we'll go
canon,
ahead.
the ones from
Canon.
the ones from the comics.
Okay, and last question. He always asks this. Cool, bro. Always asks this, and has me ask this as well. What's your 5 favorite Star Wars characters before we head on out?
Number one, Ahsoka. Number two, Clone Wars Anakin. Number three, uh, Thrawn. Number
Mhm.
four, Obi-Wan, minus the Obi-Wan Disney Plus series. And then five,
I love how you put an asterisk on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then five, uh, Jar Jar Binks, baby. Can't go wrong.
Okay. Not even going to go into impersonation because I know it would offend some people out there. So I will not even do anything on that. Vader, Kenobi, Ahsoka, Thrawn, and Darth Maul are his. Yes, I will tell him that. Okay. Well, appreciate the Star Wars questions, cool bro. If you want more Star Wars content or our previous conversations like we did on Andor, you could just check it out on the YouTube channel right here on Pop Culture Cosmos or the MCU's Bleeding Edge. He has a ton of stuff that he and Cybernetic Shark and his whole entire gang have reviewed right there for you at the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Well, Jeff, you've been fantastic as always. I know you said you hit me up the other day, and I said, you know what? I have some time tonight. I'm going to go ahead and do it now because again, I like the fact that you're a contrarian in this case because everybody has pooped on the Marvels, and I'm glad to see that someone took some enjoyment out of it. He asked if okay. Cool Bro has some standard questions. Standard question. Cool Bro likes
Oh,
me
I
to ask
like it.
is
I like it. It's fine.
yeah. So okay. So you got a Star Wars theory watcher right there, in Jeff, the man of true knowledge, indeed.
Tell him to go check out all of our Star Wars stuff on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and he'll see
That's what I
what
tried
my
to.
thoughts are.
I already put in the chat your YouTube link, Jeff.
Thank
So
you,
yeah, I
sir.
got you already covered. Yes. Please go ahead and check out all the reviews of all the Star Wars related content, whether it's movie based or TV based, right there for you at the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Well, Jeff, you're the man of true knowledge. As always, I truly appreciate the fact that you found enjoyment in a movie that Not many did. And it's always good to hear from you, my friend. I cannot wait to talk more great stuff in any pop culture universe with you, my friend, right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. Check you later, cool bro. See you soon.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Jeff.